Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra Mai, Jaya Sudarshana.
Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadramai, Jaya Sudarsana.
Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra Mai, Jaya Sudarshana.
Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadramai, Jaya Sudarsana.
Jaya Radha Sham Sundar, Radha Sham Sundar Radhe.
Jaya Radha, Shama Sundarada, Shama Sundaradi.
Jaya Radha Sham Sundar, Radha Sham Sundar Radhe.
Jaya Radha, Shama Sundarada, Shama Sundaradi.
Jaya Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan Radhe.
Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhi.
Jai Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Shri Radhe.
Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Sri Radhe.
Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita,
Jaya
Jaya
Gauranitai, Jaya
Gauranita.
Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai.
Nitai Gaura Hari
Hari
Bol,
Bol,
Hari
Hari
Bol,
Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Nitai
Nitai
Gaura
Gaura
Hari
Hari
Bol,
Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada,
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 Prabhupada.
Prabhupada, Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada.
Om Vishnu Madhava Maham Saprivachaga Acharya Stotra Shima Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Maharaj ki.
Jai.
Om Vishnu Madhava Maham Saprivachaga Acharya Stotra Shimad Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasi Goswami Maharaj ki.
Jai.
आनंद गोड़ी वैष्णव वृंद की,
Jai.
आचार्य दास ठाकुर की,
Jai.
प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत दादरा शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की.
Jai.
जय गो प्रेमानंदे.
Hari Bol.
ओनो भगवते वासुदेवाय.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
हरे कृष्णा. Reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 8, Attaining the Supreme. Today's verses 1 and 2. Verse 1, Arjuna Vacha, Kim Tad Brahma Kinadhyatmam, Kim Karma Purushottama, Adhibodam Cha Kim Proktam, Adhidevam Kimuchyade. Arjuna Vacha, Kim Tad Brahma Kimadhyatmam, Kim Karma Purushottama, Adhibodam Cha Kim Proktam, Adhidevam Kimuchyade. Kim Tad Brahma Kimadhyatmam. So Arjuna Vacha, Kim Tad Brahma Kimadhyatmam, Kim Karma Purushottama, Adhibodam Cha Kim Proktam, Adhidevam Kimuchyade. See that acronym, Aji?
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Arjuna Uvaja. Kim Tad Brahma Kim Adhyatmam. Kim Karma Purushottama. Adhibodam Cha Kim Proktam. Adhidaivam Kimuchyade. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Snigdhamaji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Arjuna Vacha. Kim Tad Brahma Kim Adhyatmam. Kim Karmam Purushottama. Adhibhutang Cha Kim Proktam. Adhidevam Kimuchyate. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Siddhartha, you can read that.
Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me.
Hare Krishna. Right. Verse 2. Adiyajna kadam kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayanagale cha katham nyeyosi niyadatmabhi. Adiyajna kadam kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayanagale cha katham nyeyosmi niyadatmabhi. Adiyajna kadam kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayanakale cha katham nyeyosi niyadatmabhi. Hare Krishna. Snigdhamaji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Adi yajna katham kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayana kali cha katham geyosi niyatatmabhi. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Siddhartha Krani.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Adiyajna kadam kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayana kale cha katham nyeyosi niyadatmabhihi.
Hare Krishna. Okay, Snigdhamaji can read the translation.
Yes, Prabhuji. Who is the Lord of sacrifice and what does he live in the body, O Madhusudan, and how can those engaged in devotional service now you at the time of death? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmeridam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthavidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadadi Swapadantigam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Udavadagamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunathanvidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaidam Savadhudam Parijana Saidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalidam Shivishaganvidam Stam. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagalpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namastude Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanasude Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpadarubhischam Kriva Sindhuvi Evacham Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namam Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swaminidhi Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Arjuna Vacha Kim Tad Brahma Kim Adhyatmam Kim Karma Purushottamam Adibodham cha kim proktam adidaivam kimuchyade. Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is a self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me. Hare Krishna. So, the last two verses of the 7th chapter, Krishna was speaking about a jnani who is very interested in liberation. Verse 29 and 30, in that Krishna had said, Jara Marna Mokshaya Mamashite Idandye Te Brahma Tadvidu Kritsnam Adhyatmam Karma Chakilam. So, intelligent persons who are enduring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental and fruitive activities. So, three subject matter mentioned, verse 29, Brahma, Adhyatma, and Karma. And the next verse, another three things are mentioned, three terms. Sadi Bodhadi Daivam Mam, Sadi Yatnim Chadevidu. Prayanakalebi Chamam Tevidu Yukta Chedasam. Adhibudha, Adidaivam, and Adiyatnyam. Three concepts are introduced. And how we can remember, how somebody can remember me even at the time of death. Prayana kale chibi mam tevidu yukta chedasaha. Yukta chedasa means steadfast mind, a steady mind. So, 6 questions plus how we can remember Krishna at the time of death. This instilled interest in Arjuna's mind. So he requests Krishna to explain this in detail. So he asks Krishna, what is meant by Brahman? What is Adhyatma? What is Karma? What is Adhibhudam and Adidevam? So 5 questions are asked in the first verse. And the next verse, he asks 3 questions more. So you can understand that this chapter, 8th chapter, Attaining the Supreme, basically deals with 2 types of devotees, Yoga Mishra Bhaktas and pure devotees. So 28 verses are there in this chapter. And the breakdown of the chapter as follows. Section 1, 1 to 4. Verses 1 to 4, Krishna's answers to Arjuna's questions. So Arjuna totally asks 8 questions in 2 verses, and Krishna answers these questions. 7 of these questions And then he explains the last one, remembering Krishna. Actually, the rest of the chapter is about remembering Krishna only. So section 1, 1 to 4 is Krishna's answers to Arjuna's questions. Section 2, A5 verses 5 to 8, remembering Krishna at the time of death. Prayana Kare, how can remember Krishna? The time of death. Section 3, verses 9 to 13, remembering Krishna, practice remembering through meditation. Remembering Krishna through meditation. Section 4, 14 to 16, remembering Krishna through bhakti, pure devotional service. Section 5, 17 to 22, comparing material and spiritual worlds and glories of Supreme Abode. And rest, section 6, 23 to 28, soul's destination, determining a soul's destination. So totally 6 sessions, 28 verses divided into 6 sessions. And the first, as mentioned before, the first two questions, first two verses, Arjuna raises 8 questions. The first one is Tad Kim Brahman. He addresses Krishna as Purushottama here. Purushottama, the Supreme Person. So, Shastras speak about 3 types of Purushas: Adhama Purusha, Madhyama Purusha, and Uttama Purusha. So, Adhama Purusha, we are the Adhama Purusha, the living entities, conditioned living entities living this material world. We are interested in fruitive activities and enjoying senses, enjoying with our senses. This is basically the Adhama Purusha. Purusha actually means enjoyer. So Adhama Purusha is living entities who are trapped in this material world, trying to enjoy with their senses. Madhyama Purusha is super soul, Paramatma residing in everyone's heart, witnessing these activities. So Krishna says, Bhaktaram Yatnata Basam, it's mentioned. And the last and the final, there is a Purushottama is Krishna himself. So actually Krishna, Arjuna addresses Krishna as Purushottama. He's a supreme person. And he addresses question Brahman. What is Brahman? Brahman means biggest. Brihannatvat, Brihatvat. It mentions Brihannatvat, Brihatvat. Brihannatvat, Brihatvat, meaning very, very big, the biggest. So, it is mentioned this universe is the biggest, and according to science also, it is still growing. So, Brahman is still growing. Although very big, it's every moment is growing. That's also in science also mentions that universe is expanding. So Brahman is also individual soul also. It also means indestructible living entity. Is called indestructible living entity, which cannot be destroyed at any time. That we have seen details in the second chapter, how the soul is not destructible. Even though it cannot be cut by sword, it cannot be burned up in fire, it cannot be soaked in water, cannot be dried up in air. So it is indestructible, the Brahman. So Adhyatma, what is Adhyatma? Krishna, Arjuna asked this question, what is Adhyatma, Krishna? Adhyatma is self, or the nature of self. Arjuna wants to know what is this self and what is the nature of the self. The question is raised. And then Kim karma. Karma is fruitive activities. Of course, it is the answer. These are given answers only in third chapter, third and fourth. Krishna addresses, gives replies to these questions. So Arjuna wants to know what is karma, by which we are still wandering in this material world because of the karma. Adhyatma, as Atma plus Adhi, that actually means the nature of the soul. Adhi Atma means nature of the soul. Atma is also refers to mind, soul, body, senses, everything. So Arjuna is requesting Krishna to explain all these things. Then he's asking, what is Adhibhutam? Adhibhutam, material manifestation. The great material manifestation, which is universes that appearing in front of us, in our sight. We are seeing so many universes. We hear about so many universes, material universes. What is this Adhibhutam? Which are living in that entities that is residing in these planets. Material manifestation is, as of course, if you know, it's 24 elements. The universe is made up of total 24 elements. And the bodies, 84 lakh species, bodies spread all over the universe. This is a material manifestation. And Adidevam. Adidevam is the demigods which form the part of the body of the Supreme Person, Virat form. So demigods are forms are the body of the Supreme Person. So Arjuna wants to know in detail all these aspects. So in the next verse, he asks the next three questions, three more questions. Adiyajnam kadam kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayanakale cha kadam neyosi nyadatmabhi. Adiyajna kadam kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayanakale cha kadam neyosi nyadatmabhi. How does this Lord of Sacrifice live in this body? And in which part does he live, O Madhusudana? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? So Krishna is addressed as Madhusudana here. Madhusudana means the killer of the demon Madhu. So Arjuna actually is a pure devotee, and Arjuna knows this kind of doubt should not rise in his mind. He wants to know who is Adiyajna. So Arjuna is requesting Krishna, please destroy these doubts, demonic doubts, which have arisen in his mind, Madhusudana. So that is a quality of a disciple. Arjuna had accepted Krishna as his spiritual master. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prabannam. Arjuna had surrendered to Krishna and he's asking for guidance. He's asking for instructions. And he's accepted Krishna as Supreme Person, as the Supreme Person, as his spiritual master. So when you accept a spiritual master, you should be very sure that he possesses all the qualification of a spiritual master. Essentially, the spiritual master should be an Uttama Adhikari. Bhagavadottama should be a Bhagavadottama. In verse 5 of Nectar of Instruction, the last chapter and last paragraph, part of the last paragraph, Srila Prabhupada explains different types of spiritual masters. I mean, the so-called, and he is mentioned, he is giving a warning to the prospective disciples that they should be very careful in choosing the Diksha Guru. The Diksha Guru should be of Uttama Adhikari only. He should be a Uttama Adhikari. You can choose other types, the Diksha also, Madhyama Adhikari also, but then you have to face the risk of having done that. Only Uttama Adhikari who has realized himself, who has realized his constitutional position, his true self, and his relationship with Krishna. What is his relationship with Krishna? That is more important. In what rasa he is connected to Krishna. Only such person can be a real spiritual master or real Diksha Guru. So here, Arjuna has got absolutely no doubts because Krishna himself is Supreme Personality. So he is very, very comfortable with that. And he's confident that Krishna can destroy all doubts that has arisen in his mind. Especially this Adhiyajna. So Adhiyajna means the Lord of sacrifice. Adhiyajna means a lot of sacrifice. So in Vedas, especially in Karmakanda section, you can find Indra is also addressed as Adhiyajna. So many sacrifices. Indra is a recipient. Indra is a joy of the yajnas. In this Karmakanda section, you can find that. As we know, the Karmakanda section deals with yajnas, those yajnas which are meant to achieve some results, fruitive results, desired results in this world as well as in the upper planets also. So many yajnas are mentioned in connection with that. And an enjoyer of these yajnas mostly is Indra only. Because without Indra's permission, nobody can enter the heavenly planets. We have seen Srimad Bhagavatam. We have seen that Indra's permission is required if you want to enter the Swarga planets, heavenly planets. So Arjuna wants to know whether it is Indra, or is it Vishnu? So this Arjuna feels that actually it should not arise in his mind. The yajna sacrifice that Krishna himself says, Bhaktaram yajna tapasam. He is the enjoyer of all the yajnas situated in one's heart. Kadam, actually that adiyajna ko, kadam dehesmin, how he is residing in this body. In which area of the body he is residing? The answer is heart only. So Arjuna wants to know the exact place of residence of yajna and who is this adiyajna. And since Krishna is an expert, spiritual master, is expert in quelling all these doubts, Arjuna is humbly requesting him. So last question is asked, Prayana Kalecha Kadam Yeyosi Niyadatmavi. Niyadatma means, as you have seen, self-controlled. Verse 30, we have a Vidu Yukta Chedasa is mentioned as a Yukta Chedasa. In verse 30 of 7th chapter, means a Yukta Chedasa. That is a person with steady mind. So Niyadatmavi also means a person with steady mind. Now that is very important. How we can be steady? Which says that nobody can be very steady at the time of death. It's very difficult for someone to be very, very steady the last moment of life. because it's so painful. The death is so painful. It's mentioned that 40,000 bites of scorpion, equivalent to 40,000 bites of scorpion, so much painful, and the soul cannot remain in that body anymore. The soul wants to get out. So how can one be very steady at the time? And so many memories are coming, flooding up, and so many unfinished or unfulfilled desires, and so many anxieties. What will happen after my death? What will be applied to my family members, my wife, my husband, my children? So many thoughts will be flooded. Physically, we are suffering like anything. We cannot even take breath. Breathing is very, very difficult. Body is full of pain, and mind is full of anxieties. So at that time, how we can be very steady? How is this possible? So prayana kale means the time of death. So this is the last test. Whatever we have done in this life will be put to test the last moment of our life when we are leaving this body. So Arjuna is afraid that even persons in Krishna consciousness also may forget, or maybe even for them, it will be very difficult to remember Krishna at the time of death. Such is a disruption that is caused by death in our body and mind and intellect and consciousness. So there'll be panic, the panic-stricken state. It's called panic-stricken. It's very panic. You are panicking at the time. When you are panicking, nothing can, we cannot do anything at the time. Everything will be very hazy. So Srila Prabhupada quotes Kulashekara Perumal in Mugundamala Sotra, verse 33. Krishna Todiya Padapangajantam Advedame Vishadu Manasa Raja Hamsa Prana Prayana Samaye Kapavada Vithai Kantavarodhana Vidho Smaranam Kudaste. So Kulashekara Perumal prays to Krishna that his mind is now entangled in the webs of the lotus in the lotus feet of Krishna. And there's a pastime of swan in the lakes. Lotus flower is there, and the stem of lotus flower will be immersed in the water, and there will be some branches in that in that stem, and the swan wants to enter this lotus flower through the stem. That is one of the sporting activities of this swan, because he's very happy, very joyous mood. Very joyous mood. So when we are very healthy, when we are Robin's health, very, very, very joyously we are engaged in service of Krishna, serving Krishna, having what do you call it? Deriving a lot of pleasure in serving Krishna. So at that state, if Krishna wants, if I can leave my body, this frame of mind, I'll be very happy. Why should I wait for till last time? Kanthavrodhana vidhos kabavad prana prayana samay kabavad vittai. When you are very old, when your time, when leaving the body, kabavad vittai, everything will be choking your throat. Everything will be choking. So at that time, how we can remember you, Krishna? Krishna asks. So Srila Prabhupada used to like this verse very much. He said that he always used to sing this verse while he was in room, while he was taking bath, when he was alone. And he has actually cut an album on this song. I have posted it in the group. So Srila Prabhupada used to like this verse like anything. So here Kuleshwara Perumal asks, he is one of, he is coming, Alvas, the 12th Alva, is renowned as the 12th Alvas, coming from Sri Parambara. He was a king and a great devotee of Krishna and Rama. So Mudamara Stotra is a book of verses, slogas written by Kuleshwara Perumal. This we have translated, the first 6 verses are translated by Srila Prabhupada, and next another by his disciples. So we should read that book. It's a great one. It's a great work on devotional service, Bhakti Shastra. So Kuleshwara Perumal is anxious that he may not be able to remember Krishna when he is leaving his body. In Viraha Purana, it's mentioned that even though we may not remember Krishna at the time of death, a person who has executed devotional service throughout his life, unfortunately, because of this panic-stricken state, when everything is disrupted, if he is not able to remember Krishna, Krishna will very mercifully take him back. So that is mentioned in some Shastras, in Vedic Shastras, Viraha Purana. But here, Arjuna is very anxious to know how we can remember Krishna at the time of death. So Srila Prabhupada, in many of his writings, has mentioned that the best way to remember Krishna at the time of death is always chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare throughout. Throughout your life, as many times as possible, continuously chant this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This will enable us to remember Krishna at the time of death. So there's a best way, a guaranteed way to get back to Godhead. Chant the holy names. So even if you are not able to remember chant the holy name also last minute, still Krishna will ensure a safe passage. But here Arjuna wants to know how is it possible for those who are in devotion, engaged in service, remember you at the time of death. So Krishna will be answering these questions. The rest of this one. So 3 and 4, he'll be answering these questions. And then 5 to 8, remembering Krishna at the time of death. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Right. Yes, Digdamaji. Can read the Hare Krishna. Snigdhamaji is not there. Okay. You see that acronic and Narasimha.
Namaste Narasimhaya Praladadadayini Hiranyakashiporvachaha Shilatanga Nakalayi Ito Narsimha Parado Narsimha Yedo Yami Tado Narsimha Bahe Narsimho Hridaye Narsimho Narasimha Madim Saranam Prabadi Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam Adbuddha Sringa Dalita Yakas Tanubrika Keshavadra Haridu Jagadish Hare Jai
Jai Jagadish Hare.
Jai
Jai
Jagadish
Jagadish
Jai
Jai
Hare Jai
Narsimha
Jayo Nara Hari, Jayo Nara Hari, Jayo Nara Hari, Jayo Nara Hari, Jayo Lakshmi Nara Simha, Jayo Lakshmi Nara Simha, Lakshmi Nara Simha, Jayo Lakshmi Nara Simha, Jayo Prahlad Maharaj, Jayo Prahlad Maharaj, Jayo Prahlad Maharaj, Jayo Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Haribo, Haribo, Haribo.
Brahmiram Mahavishwam
Mahavishnum
Jhulandam
Jyolantam
Sarvadomukham Narsimham Vishram Bhadram Mrityum Namamyam. Brahmiram Mahavishnum Jhulandam Sarvadomukham Narsimham Vishram Bhadram Mrityum Namamyam. Brahmiram Mahavishnum Jhulandam Sarvadomukham Narsimham Vishram Bhadram Mrityum Namamyam. Shri Narasimha Jai Narasimha Jai Jai Shri Narasimha Radesha Jaya Padma Bringam. Shuddha Bhakti Vinashagari Shri Narasimha Bhagwan ki
Jai,
Vaishnava Bhakti Shesh Pada Maharaj ki
Jai,
Jai Go Premanande.
Hari
Hari Hari
Vancha
Bol.
Kalpadrubhischa
Kripa
Kripa
Sindhu
Sindhu
Bhayavata Patitanam
Padanam
Pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Nanda Gori Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai.
Jai,
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai,
Go Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhuji,
Hare
due to heavy rain and poor internet, actually it has cut out.
Yes, I knew
Internet.
that. I saw you coming second, entering again.
Yes, yes,
So
Prabhu.
heavy rains are there in Orissa now?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Depression